he is rebuking the base, like almost like spitting in their face. They are asking for it. He campaigned on it. He puts Bongino and Cash in there, which might be the stupidest thing in the history of the world. Like, why would you put the two guys that have nonstop pounded the pavement talking about how we're going to expose this Epstein thing, and the second they get in there, like, you better shut the
Yeah, to shut him up.
Go on Rogan, lie. Like, it is a very peculiar thing.
That's right. Trump supporters are ditching him over the Epstein thing. And it's so bad that even Republicans are pointing out how dreadful this looks for Trump. I'm also going to show you how to spot the difference between someone who is actually anti-Trump now versus someone who's just playing anti-Trump on TV. But first, let's hear more from some of the people I showed you.
But the fact that he will not touch this, and then this last week, him doing the distractions.
Bro.
Dropping the MLK file. Like, who asked for the MLK file?
Yeah.
Who asked for MLK?
The more they're doing to hide it, the more I'm like, oh, they're hiding something crazy. Yeah. I didn't necessarily, I was like, there's probably something.
The second he started talking about Obama, I was like, oh, he's guilty.
Yeah.
Also, like, why are you talking about Obama and treason? You got a guy who has sex with teenagers that you are protecting.
That does not sound good. And distraction is the exact right term for it. After all, this is Trump, a guy who ran saying this.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
But he hasn't, and people are pissed. And since then, he has tried to distract, deflect, and deny all involvement in super weird and transparent ways. I made a list. He said that Obama did Russiagate. Not true. Nonsensical. He said he'd release parts of the grand jury, but he hasn't. He said he's entertaining pardoning Ghislaine Maxwell. He released the MLK files out of nowhere. He bombed Iran. He's trying to blame Democrats for this happening, even though the only reason it's on anyone's radar so delightfully is because it's Trump supporters calling him out. And Pam Bondi also released a mashup of Epstein prison footage that, like everybody pointed out, was super misleading immediately.
Metadata from raw Epstein prison video shows approximately 2 minutes and 53 seconds were removed from one of the two stitched together clips. The cut starts off at the missing minute. Wow.
And it's not just people like Joe Rogan, who apparently believes in wizards. Even Republican strategists are talking about how bad this is for Trump and the creepy lengths to which he's going to hide this thing, hoping it just goes away.
Yeah, I mean, I think Republicans are tying themselves to knots right now. They're really struggling, both from MAGA world and the congressional Republicans here, who, as you saw, Speaker Johnson had to sort of dismiss everyone and send everyone home because they really couldn't come to any type of resolution on whether they were going to move forward and vote for something that would release some of these files. So I think Republicans are trying to buy Trump some time and allow him to, I don't know, maybe try to figure out some way to get around this to move past it.
Oh my God, I even forgot. Look at the lower third while she was talking. While trying to distance himself from Epstein, Trump gave immunity to Epstein's biggest accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell. Ghislaine? Is it Ghislaine? Can we normalize Ghislaine? I just like the term Ghislaine. But let's get back to what that Republican strategist said. The Speaker of the House, a person whose job is to navigate difficult waters politically, thought this was such a horrible thing that he actually sent the entire House of Representatives to recess, i.e. sent them home, a place that no politician wants to go at all. They run for office so they can get the hell away from their constituency and have weird coked up sex parties in DC. But the Speaker of the House called a recess hoping this thing would go away. But even Joe Rogan and his CIA operative guest are like, no, not buying it.
You know, some people are saying, look, they've called the recess on Capitol Hill because they figure by the time they come back in September, everybody will have moved on from this, right?
Yeah.
I think they're wrong.
And it's actually so bad that it's just reminding Joe Rogan of all the other times that Trump's goons lied to him.
The Epstein stuff is so crazy because when Kash Patel was on here and he was like, there's nothing. And I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to say. My thought was, and people are like, why didn't you push back more? My thought was like, I'm just going to put this out there and let the internet do its work because the whole thing was nuts. And then he's like, well, we have a film. We're going to release that film. And the film has a minute missing from it.
Yeah.
Like, do you think we're babies? Like, what is this?
And while, yes, Joe Rogan does look like a giant, roided out baby, he is actually, believe it or not, a true grown-ass man. Now, I said the rift is bigger than you might expect, because that one crack of Epstein is allowing these guys to see the other lies and the other horrible things that have happened as a result of Trump's presidency. For example, his immigration policy, combined with his censorship on college campuses.
Now you have this insane policy where they're going to Home Depot and rounding people up, and it's kind of scary, and people that are American
because people have been here a long time, and and then you're rounding people up. It is scary, but it's like a response to it's that massive influx.
Yeah, it's an overcorrection,
right?
And it's also like they have a mandate, I think, of like 3,000 people a day they want to deport. Just you got a bunch of people that are totally innocent are going to get caught up in that. And they have been,
right?
They have been. A lot of people that have green cards, a lot of people that are supposed to be over here. And then they're kicking students out that write articles they don't like.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Every Joe Rogan guest sounds like someone who really likes a person they think is hotter than them. So, I agree with you. I've always agreed with you. Will we soon? Can I touch your butthole? Anyhow, okay. The podcast bros have seemed to go completely anti-Trump. They're not pro-Democrat, but they're definitely anti-Trump at this point. But what about the other people? What about the more pro-MAGA politicos? The Boberts, the Charlie Kirks, the ones who joined the bandwagon saying Trump's my guy. He'll bust those creep state kiddo violators or whatever euphemism for I'm supposed to say so I don't trigger the algorithm. Well, for those folks, it's actually more complicated, and you have to follow this pretty closely to notice it. If you watch the clip I'm about to show you, you might look at it and say, oh, Lolo Bobo, she seems to have some kind of values that she lives by, and those values include stepping up for children who've been violated, and it's not just that she values kissing Trump's ass. Here's this clip with the guy that I literally got kicked out. I got him kicked out of the Republican National Convention because he's acting like an asshole, and I got him kicked out of the RNC.
I think anything anybody wants to see is the list. We want to see the list, period. I don't care what names are on it. I want to see what names are on it and why. It is a bipartisan issue. And so I want to see what these folks were doing with Epstein.
Aha, very strong, very bipartisan. However, there is always a but. And at the RNC, I also saw Lauren Boebert's butt, and it's actually, I hate to admit, quite attractive. But anyways, if you watch the rest of the clip, look at how she's already positioning herself to push blame onto other people besides Donald Trump. This was a month ago.
I certainly want these released. President Trump has done a great job of declassifying certain information, but also where has this information been in decades? Through what hands has this information gone through? You never know what has been removed or potentially even added. And so it's really difficult to find the absolute truth when there's been so many years of darkness that this information has been hidden in.
See that? It's like she's scolding Trump, but playing footsie with him under the table. Oh, who else's hands has this been through? Ostensibly Democrats and other real deep state threats, not just Trump. Now, we'll cut to 2 weeks after that. And suddenly it's this framing from her and other Trump yes men. And all of a sudden they're like, you know what? Actually, on second thought, we should trust all the people that are hiding this information from us, right? That sounds like a decent thing.
And like you mentioned, President Trump, this wasn't his main thing that he ran on. I would much rather have a secure border than a list from a dead pedophile at this time.
I'm done talking about Epstein for the time being. I'm going to trust my friends in the administration. I'm going to trust my friends in the government.
Who are your sources? Let's go down the list, and then we'll talk about why they might be saying that.
My sources are the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, Dan Bongino, the Deputy Head of the FBI, and Pam Bondi, the Attorney General.
There's justice and the fact that we might have pedophiles serving in our government right now.
Oh, my goodness, that's horrible.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, what people care about is how to feed their families and how the economy grows and take care of their futures. This stuff is poop on a stick. Nobody gives... I got to stop.
No. Continue. Talk more about, what was it? Poop on a stick is actually the most dangerous weapon on the planet. But it's a good question. Who cares? Well, the answer is everybody. I promise poll numbers. Here are your poll numbers.
What issues do the American voters seem to disapprove of him? They disapprove of him on all of the issues. He's underwater on all the major issues of the day. And of course, the Epstein case, the lowest of the bunch, minus 37 points, 37 points below water.
Ouch. The underwater sounds like a bad place to be, unless you're a fish. But then there's pollution. But there are actual Republicans out there who are doing something different from what Boebert did. But it is important, as I said earlier, to find a way to determine who is someone who is actually anti-Trump because of this versus someone who is just pretending to be anti-Trump and only cares about children as long as it doesn't jeopardize their ability to maintain power and influence on Washington, D.C.'s Capitol Hill. So let's hear from some, including Thomas Massie, who did vote to release the Epstein files.
The release of the Epstein files is emblematic of what Trump ran for and why he got the populist vote. There seems to be a class of people beyond the law, beyond the judicial system, that operates outside of all of that. And we all thought that when Trump was elected, he would be the bull in the china shop and that he would break that up and bring transparency. Frankly, it wasn't until just recently that I realized that people who were allegedly working on this weren't sincere in their effort.
Don't create false expectations. Create expectations that that you can live up to, right? So
I want to know the chain, I want to know the money, I want to know the people involved, and all gloves are off. But I do warn people, though, just because somebody's on a travel log does not mean that they're a pedophile.
Why is he sitting? Why are we sitting? Can you stand? Can you? I like the informal nature of declaring who is and isn't a pedophile. But yeah, it's a fine point. I will just clarify. I know that just because you're in the Epstein files does not mean you are a pedophile. However, it does mean that you hung out with Jeffrey Epstein. You know who's not in the Epstein files? Me. And like a plumber. And like a person who, like a normal teacher. I mean, the excuses they give are so flimsy.
If somebody's plane breaks down, somebody knows Epstein, and then they got a friend that gets on the plane with them, nobody knew this guy was a big a dirtbag as he was until the last few years, till y'all broke the story.
Yeah, that's a good point. But some people did know him for years and years and were calling him a total creepball way back then. I am also entitled to believe that whatever he does end up telling me after this huge pressure campaign from me and a bunch of people who voted for him, I am entitled to believe that after he shows me something, that he is still lying and that he polished up that turd so hard to make himself look as good as possible and that he is still keeping very vital details from me. He has already lost this. He could not come back from this. He said I would show you the files and then he didn't. And he's lied, cheated, and obfuscated the entire time since. He bombed Iran to get me to forget about this. And I say this especially because I have also seen like 5,000 photos of him with this dude partying and being pervy with his own daughter and saying nice things about his accomplice. And then especially after what the head pedo himself said about Donald Trump at the deposition.
Have you ever had a personal relationship with Donald Trump?
What do you mean by personal relationships?
Have you socialized with him?
Yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today, I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, and 14th Amendment rights, sir.
And if, after all this, you think it's just total weirdo lefties talking about it, let Thomas Massie, a Republican, remind you exactly what bed he made that he's going to either have to lie in or stop lying in.
Here's the problem. The MAGA base, they voted for a Republican majority and they voted for Donald Trump to be president to reach the untouchables. Because there's always been this class of people that seems to be above and beyond the law. And so the Epstein files are about reaching those people. And here's the problem for us here in the House specifically. If they become apathetic, if those voters who got energized and put Trump in the White House and us in the majority become apathetic because we don't follow up on this one simple small promise, then they're not going to show up in the midterms. We're going to lose the majority, and the Democrats will be in charge.
All right, everybody, that's my time. Thanks for watching. I'm Brett. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And honestly, if you could look at this mole on my back, I'm a little concerned. But we'll do that later.